we are most fortunate today to have a most amazing guest, Luca Volpe, who I guess I met maybe over 10 years ago or so on a place called the Green Space, where I've met
Yeah.
many amazing people, which is called the Magic Cafe. And I have to say, magicians and mentalists are the friendliest people I've ever met because they're very collaborative. And when I used to even run some of my fun little contests where people would put in little routines, Luca was there. But I mean, don't get me wrong. You're like an amazing person you're like a corporate entertainer that has been working for major Fortune 500 companies, cruise lines, all these sorts of things. So I think also from what I know about you, you also do mentalism that helps with mindfulness and so on. So I thought you'd
Exactly.
be the perfect person to talk about what we like to talk about, the connection to creativity, the arts, and mental health. With that, I'll just kind of say, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more?
So first of all, thank you very much, Bruce, for inviting me here. It's really a pleasure to talk about these topics and to talk about the art of mentalism, because for me, mentalism and magic is a form of art, you know. So, and as you said, I'm always very helpful for my to my colleagues, and especially when we met on the Magic Cafe on the green room. I always try to help and contribute when I can, so that mentalism become even more an important art form for everyone to that practice, and for the people that actually see the good mentalism and good performances, because there is a good and a bad. So we talk about the good.
Yes, the whole concept of presentation and method. I was talking to another person. He's more a professional haunter. We're talking about 90% presentation, 10% method, but the method has to be spot on and it's not a
Exactly, but I think mostly what mentalist does more than magic, because I think every time we see a magic trick, we are excited. There is a wonder, right? But mentalism is different, because with mentalism you can connect in a very deeper level, and you can create emotions in the people. And this, I wrote many years ago a trilogy of books. It was called Emotional Mentalism, and I kind of started this kind of new way to present mentalism because I studied with Kenton Nepper many years ago. We did the famous secret school when we were me and Peter Turner, Fraser Parkett and stuff. And each one of us had their own personality in mentalism. And we Kenton actually had the opportunity to push even more, these my ideas regarding mentalism. And my idea has always been the concept of giving the people experience that they will never forget, other than wonder, because wonder goes. Once you see a magic show, a magic trick, it's great. You talk about 2-3 days with your friends, but that's it. But if you really can change something in their life, and this is especially important for people that needs this kind of changes, mentalism can help, because through mentalism, through an experience, you can actually let the people understand a little bit more about themselves.
I 100% agree. And just to throw in, I'm on the opposite spectrum. I mean, but I used to use mentalism actually for simulation to kind of show people what it might feel to hear voices, have your memory erased, all these sorts of things that actually could be quite frightening, but in a controlled way to show you don't really understand what schizophrenia is till you understand what it feels like to be your perceptions totally.
Yeah.
So again, from that whole spectrum of this power, especially
Yeah.
work with cognitions and emotions and
You
so
can
on.
use in any way you like, from
Mm-hmm.
basic thing, from body language and mental awareness, all these kind of things. You can use mentalism and magic for this. In fact, if you remember David Copperfield, many years ago, he created the project, the Magic Project, where he was actually teaching kids, that they had some, awareness problems, how to do magic tricks, because through magic they were able to overcome some difficulties.
Mm-hmm. And I guess one thing I was going to ask too is before we get into more of these, what's happening now. Were
Yeah.
you always into this, or how did you end up in this field? Were you like, as a kid, saw somebody like, this is cool, or like, how? What's your journey? How you even ended up
Yeah.
here?
So this is my actual, it's always been my work, my job. I never had a normal normal job. I started well, the usual. When I was 7 years old, they gave me two presents. It was a little keyboard
Mhm.
and a magic box from Silvan. Silvan is a famous magician in Italy,
Yeah.
and so I actually start to love music and magic at the same time. In fact, I also studied at the Conservatory of Music in Naples, where I live, and but at the same time I was doing little shows and uh, friends shows and stuff, magic tricks, easy stuff. And then I went so much into it that I remember when my grandpa was giving me the little money. I was keeping the money to go in the library and buy magic books, and I was really passionate about it. And then that's it. And then I started to work and do some shows, and then slowly, I my experience grow. And I read a lot. I read a lot. I have more than 500 books, and I even lost the count now all the books I have, because I think that's the main way to learn still today. Despite all the YouTube and tutorials that we see online, but books is, I think, that the best way to learn, because you get more creative. You find also your own persona when you read books instead of copying other people. So I studied a lot, I learned a lot, and then I started to be more attracted to the psychological side of magic, which was mentalism. So I started to study that.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you something though? When you were growing up, then when your parents and family were saying, "Hey, this is what you want to do. You don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something," or they were actually, I don't know, was your family like the creative
Very,
types too,
very
or
supportive.
that's
Very
cool.
supportive. Also because my family is a family we have different. I had different performers, artists in my family. So I
Mhm.
had it was my uncle that married an American lady, and he was actually playing the drums in the Ed Sullivan show in the States. And then the brother of my mom was a guitarist. My dad was a singer. So, they were kind of used to this kind
Yeah,
of things, but they never done as a main profession.
right.
So I remember I told my dad, I said, look, I don't care how this goes, because I was so focused. I said, I don't care how this goes. I will be willing to do magic trick at the stoplights, even to make some money to pursue what I want to do in life. But eventually everything went well. I did some TV in Italy. I had my own TV show, and then slowly everything.
But this gets back to that thing about the passion. Like, how did you know you loved it so? Like, I love it. Like, what was it that said, I don't care if I end up working on the streets. I got to do this because I love
Yeah.
it. I know your family, Volpe means fox. So I guess that's a clever
Yes.
kind of thing too, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, the only other Volpe I know is from Thunderball, Fiona Volpe. Don't know if you watched,
Bravo.
yes, the Femme Fatale, but it was a family of like clever, creative people. And it sounds like you had a good family to support you on this. But still,
Yeah.
it's quite the choice to kind of like throw yourself into this, going,
And
"Whoa,
I tell
what's
you,
this?"
a very important choice, because at the same time I got the diploma at the Conservatory of Music. At one point in my life, I had the opportunity to teach in the school, to have a normal job as a teacher, or to keep doing shows. And it's a big question mark, because you can do shows or you cannot do shows. Sometimes you get work, sometimes you don't get work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was and I decided to do shows. I didn't get the offer as a teacher, and it was a really tough decision. Well, tough decision. I was quite convinced of what I wanted to do, but when you refuse some surefire
Yeah.
money income for something that you don't know how it goes, you really need to be focused and convinced about what you want to do in life. And I was.
Yeah. And what was that? Like, how we said before, there's wonder versus emotions, but whatever you were doing, what was it that's like, I love this stuff? Like, it
Yeah,
drags you along.
it's a mix of everything. It's wonder, of course, because when you do something, you feel a kind of superhero, when you do
Mhm.
magic, because you do something that other people cannot do. And at the same time, you give emotions to people that they're real. Because if you think about it, today, with all this EI, we can see crazy stuff. We can really now, it's actually difficult to understand the difference between reality and illusion.
Mhm.
But it's behind the screen. But when you see a card disappear, or when you see, or when I read your mind right there with me live, this will never be able to disappear with the best EI program in the world. I mean, that live connection, it will never disappear. It cannot possibly go. You can probably one day have an EI mentalist where there will be a cable connected in your brain from the computer, and the EI will read your mind. But what it is, it's just
Yeah.
a machine. But when there is a human connection, when one human can read the minds of another human, or you can actually create an emotion in the other person, that will never be possible to be done with any kind of machine.
One of the things I think you're bringing up too, which I think is extremely important, is this form of art, mentalism, magic. It's you have to have people. You can't just do it for yourself. I guess you
Yeah,
could, but that doesn't make sense. And I think you were talking about bad presentation, good presentation, which we can get into, but I think it's you're clearly because you like connecting with people. You're using it.
yes,
It's the
yeah,
connection with people versus I think the people who don't do very good presentations, they're doing it for the effect and they
yes.
forget there's actually wait, I'm supposed to engage people.
Yeah, there are things that you maybe that you enjoy doing to
Mhm.
fool people just to see their reaction. But and it's fun to do, yeah. But when you do, there are some pieces. For example, there are some routine I do that they are not even tricks. For example, I do I create an experience, which again is not a trick. I just give an envelope. Let's say I do my close-up gig, okay? I do my show, and at the end, I just go to one person, to one specific table with one sealed envelope, and I say, "Look, I don't know why, but I feel that this envelope belongs to you. There is a message with inside an answer that you are looking for from a long time. Don't open this envelope now, just open when you feel it, and you will find the answer. That's it." And I give to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I do.
True.
But that envelope can really change their personal life. Because if they open that envelope in that specific moment in their life where they need to read that specific thing, that's it. You change people's life.
And I'm going to ask you what it is because also you're getting into one of the things I love about this field is mystery. I guess because sometimes they also call this arts the mystery arts as well,
Yeah.
because it is about not knowing. But there's something wonderful about not knowing and having playing with that concept, I guess, right? Because the audience
Yes.
going, "What's in there?" And the person doesn't
Yeah.
know what's in there. There's
Yes.
this you're activating something primal in people.
Yes, exactly. And
Mm.
and there are these two things exactly like you said at the same time. There is the wonder, the curiosity, because we all curious, as a human being.
Mhm.
What is that envelope? What is inside there? But at the same time, they know that there's something special. And I had people that opened that envelope after a year. I got a call. Uh, some people say, "Look, there was a specific moment. I never opened for a year your envelope. But then I know that that day was the right moment. And when I read that thing, that makes something click in my head.
Mhm.
That's all I wanted. It's not a magic trick. It's not a reveal of a prediction. It's nothing. It's just a very detailed, with a heart, written script that I give to them, which I know that will trigger something in their mind.
And it's doing a good deed in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like it's like, yeah, this will help you at some point, hopefully. open it
Yes,
in disaster time or whatever, right? Break glass.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because words are very powerful.
Hmm.
I always say I have an act in my show which is all about words, and I always say that words can change people's life. The right word in the right moment can change people's life. I always say once the word is said, can be forgotten but not forgiven. And this is a very important thing because we need to really pay attention to the word we say, even in the day by day, relations.
Hmm. Well, I'm in psychiatry and do lots of psychotherapy. I can tell you words are extremely important. The order
Exactly.
of them, the content of them, all these things. Well, I guess in neuro-linguistic programming, you probably know all that too stuff. But it's like how you put it in what order, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's hey, but it goes back to the ancient legends of spells and things like conjure.
exactly.
Know the power of the words, and you have control over things.
I mean, if you think about mystery art,
Hmm.
you know very well the magic started with when the human basically started their life on Earth. They believed in in thunderstorm or in the water. They start to give spirit association to nature and everything. I have behind me between normal magic books there are a lot of esoteric books too because I like to read a lot the story of magic or witchcraft and everything because I think that all magic the magic is everything. As a magician we need to be able to know everything as much as we can about the mystery art that can go from esotericism to occult stuff to magic tricks, everything, because that's actually started with that. The magic trick we do, if you go in the discovery of witchcraft, all the old magicians that were showing people to have a magical power, then in reality they were using tricks. So magic is a very old art form, and we need to be able to know about everything, as much as we can. I mean,
Well, and it sounds like, as you said, you used to love getting books. I'm assuming you get books of all subjects because this sort of art too, you want to be as authentic as possible. And back
yeah,
to presentations and all that, when people give like a really bad presentation using information knows wrong,
yeah,
or it's like, oh, that breaks my suspension of disbelief. I can't get into the mindset. I'm now against you. It's
yeah.
like you want to be as authentic and credible as possible for presenting.
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
yeah, there are different ways to perform. I mean, for example, I do shows which are fun, and very Italian. I mean, engaging, cheeky Italian style. But I always try to put in the show something that make the people think. And presentation, yes, is everything. Method is important, but what is very important is the persona, the charisma. When I always say a good performer need to be able to entertain even without actually doing anything, just talking.
Because you are a performer first. I was going Robert
Yes.
Houdin, you're a performer pretending to be a magician or a mentalist or whatever. But it also speaks to, again, like, which I always find fascinating, where people always want to take a routine and do it exactly as it's in written down versus aren't you supposed to adapt it for who you are and your character? And so you bring it to life in a new, unique way, like you're
Yeah, but
describing.
suddenly people like you and like me and like few others, they're very difficult to find today because today everything is very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Attention span is short. People want to learn quickly everything. So they don't even read the book. I wish they read a book and they copy whatever is written. They just look at a performance, not even a tutorial, just a performance. So you don't even know if you can actually borrow that trick, because there is a lot of people that just look at my routines and I saw people perform my own routine with my script, which I never released anywhere. So it means you just look at the video and you just basically copy everything. Because this means that you don't have a creativity, you don't want to work, because I mean, what is the best satisfaction? You see a piece of magic, you learn a method, and then you sit down, you look at it, and you say, okay, how can I make it mine? How can I make it something different, something special? Because for example, when I buy a trick, okay, maybe because I like that idea, I never perform the trick how it is. Never. I mean, maybe if you don't have too much way to go around it, I can do it, but I always try to put a presentation that is mine. Or if I see that the method is good, I destroy the idea of the trick, and using that method, I do something else. So that is the real work from someone that really love magic, mentalism, or the mystery art in general. And this, I think, is very important.
100% agree with you. There's one other thing you raised about, which I find interesting because I don't know what it actually means. The Italian style, the cheeky style. So that would probably be unique. Like, because you are actually known as the Italian mentalist is one of your kind of, what does that mean versus if I went to see a Bosnian mentalist?
My branding has always been the Italian mentalist because living also in UK and walking around, many places all around the world, the Italian things in general are, the people love these kind of things. If you talk with someone, Italian, I love a pizza, I love a mandolino, I love this, I love that. That's what I do. And so the branding of the Italian thing has been a very smart idea, because the place the Italian mentalist kind of tell the people what they can expect, because it's this. I like the elegance of the Italians. I like the cheeky style, the way they play, which is fun but never offensive, and this is very important. For example, even if I make some jokes, I never offend anyone. It's always a fun joke, and maybe most of the time involves myself, and I take joke on my own, way to talk and stuff like this. But I never embarrass anyone in my shows. But at the same time, they have a good time. But you know why? Because I'm just myself. You see, I'm doing this now. I'm just myself. I'm just myself, and this, I think, is the key. I always say, if you want to find your own persona, write down everything you think you are, everything you like to do, your taste, the way you dress, the thing you like to wear, everything. Write it down. Then put everything together and transform this idea to make of this idea your brand. Put it to the next level. If it's 1, make it 10, and create a brand of what you are without looking someone else. For example, there are other mentalists in Italy, but they don't call themselves Italian mentalists because the brand now is gone. But I mean, it's I always tell them, I say, look, you have this kind of persona, work on this. Maybe, for example, I'm consulting now a mentalism duo act from Italy, and I told them, look, instead of copying, biggest names like the Evansons or Tommy Emily or Luca and I or whatever it is, find your own persona. For example, he says, oh, my wife, she's a singer and she can also play music. I said, that's great. So let's create a music mind reading show so that you are different from all the other couples that are around. So I say, look into what you can do, and we can create something around it. Because, I do also consulting for many performers, and, AGT, BGT, and get talent around and stuff. So I always try to help them in find their own persona and push their own persona out and create the brand, which, as you say, is very important to make the difference.
I think also, which is a good point, which people don't realize, perhaps, you're being yourself. You're still being authentic, even though it's a persona. You're not creating a completely artificial character that you can't live 24/7. It's like, it is you all the time. It's you, like, intensified. So you don't really have to like lose the thread anywhere. You are just being you in a certain way, but in a more performance style versus something. So it's versus trying to be something you're not.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you as a performer instead of being a completely different person. Because, for example, even when I go around with my friends, or people say, "Oh, you're the magician, can you show me something?" It's still me. I don't immediately go, "Okay, now
Yeah.
concentrate." I don't transform myself. It's still Luca Volpe there performing, and I think this is very important.
Yeah, because I guess they'll remember you as much as the effect, as opposed to just the effect. And
Yeah,
who's that guy? Some
there are
faceless person.
bizarrists. There is another kind of mentalism or magic section, which is bizarre magic. Now, of course, if you see all of them, they're all with the very serious, they hold the school behind the underneath their arm. Yeah, that's okay. But when in your real life, what happened? You can magically transform yourself with a black robe and a big cross on your t-shirt. You need to somehow,
Yeah, I agree. Because that was my area, is bizarre magic. But I never dressed up like you described. I just dressed in my suit because I was still being me. I'm a psychiatrist and I'm an academic and I'm
that's
doing
it.
this but because I'm me, but I'm doing
So you
bizarre
use
magic. So
you
it
use who you
sticks.
are. You use
Right.
who you are in that specific um, section of magic and mystery art.
Mhm.
That's great. But there is people that does the opposite.
Right.
I am bizarre magic, so I'm a bizarrist, and they completely delete their own persona,
Mhm.
which is really wrong, because then when you are in the everyday life, what do you do? It's
Well, it gets back to why you love mentalism. And I like the certain parts of this mystery arts as well. It's like, oh, I love it because of me. So I'll be me
yeah,
showing what I love, what you're doing. You love mentalism and all these things, and you're showing it to people.
yeah,
The other thing too you mentioned too, which I found interesting, was about how you make jokes and things.
yeah.
What I've always hated is when people do put down an audience member, participant, but they're like these stupid, like, why? Like comedy magic, whatever that is, often is like insulting people.
Insulting people, yes.
It's like
Exactly.
I never understood the connection between the two. It seems kind of like you're going to go away leaving people feeling bad. Or I suppose some people, that's who they are. Maybe that's who they are, and they like to insult people. So I guess they are being themselves. But I never understood how that helps
For
anybody.
me, that is when a performer does this, it means that they have no character. And the only way they have to connect with people is to have a fun, or makes jokes on other people in order to
Mhm.
connect with people. But I always say, the first 5 seconds you step on stage, that's when you need to give a good impression. Because that 5 seconds make the people understand, well, we like him, we don't like him. So if in that 5 seconds you show your personality through different ways, the smile, the connection, the things you wear and everything else, that 5 seconds change everything. And then you don't need anymore to have to take a joke of do a joke of someone in the audience. You don't need to.
Mhm.
You can be fun, but fun in the healthy way, without offending anyone.
For sure. And so, and again, I guess you also have to be personal because you're working also you're a consultant. So beyond just doing your own
Yeah.
thing, you have to kind of think about other people and how they do that. That's a very creative thing too. And I guess that does lead into this whole concept, as you said, how your own creative process when you have an issue or someone says, I want to do this, but I don't
Yes.
know what to do. Do you have any tips, or do you have a process of how you kind of break things down, work through things to so many people, and you create your own routines and trying to get certain effects? What is your process for it? Like when, okay, here's the issue, and it's like, okay, how do I go about actually cracking this down to figure out this is how I'll go about creating this particular presentation or help this particular kind of situation to kind of bring it to life?
Well, the process is very straightforward. So the first thing I do is to know them. So I do first a call, and I say, okay, let's talk a little bit. Just I know who you are. And then I also try to watch some videos. They send me some video of their show. So I try to understand their persona through the show they do. And then normally we work depends what they really need. For example, if it's a single act for talent show, we work on the single act. If they want a brand new show, then we work on all the show. But mainly, what I really like to do is when a fresh new performer come to me and I say, Luca, I don't have a branding. I love magic. I do some shows, but I don't have a branding. I don't know yet who I am. And that is the thing that really challenged me. It challenged both of us, I think, because it's to find the special thing that person has. So we go through the process that I told you before. Mm-hmm. Okay, write down all the thing that you like to do in life. Also, if you look at yourself from outside, and if you have to give some, characteristic to that person, what you will say this person is, is fun, is cheeky, is elegant, whatever. Just write everything down. Then and this is very important because this also helps to connect with yourself. It's very important because, very rarely we'll see ourselves from outside. And this creates also a very important connection with yourself, because the moment you start to see yourself from the other side, then you understand even more yourself. So it's a good exercise. It's a very good exercise. And I think that we all should do it. If we want to create a brand or not. Just sometimes we need to step outside and look at ourselves from another point of view and write it down what we think that person in front of us it is. So and this also builds confidence. This is very, very important because they start to say, oh, okay, I'm like this, I'm like that, and they start to create something in your mind. So once he does everything, we talk again, we put together all these ideas, and eventually we create the branding. And branding, I also collaborate with graphic designer, a very, very good graphic designer. He's one of the best in Italy. He did a very good works for, advertising for Vespa and all this kind of thing. And sometimes we even create the actual physical branding. So, the color that most fits that person, the logo, the video, the pictures, we can do everything and we create everything. And this, I think, the most creative process for me. I created the show, I create the branding, and we have few people, we help quite few performers, I will say, starting from zero. And now they are quite successful. They're doing a lot of shows. They had no idea. Because when you have when your brand is really settled and the people understand who you are, then it's easy to get job because the people can actually see exactly. You are not the usual magician or the usual mentalist. You are the Italian mentor. So you are, the bizarre magician. They know exactly who you are through your brand and your persona.
And you also described, I guess, because you work with other creatives. So I guess I was going to ask too, because I know I like working with creatives because it makes me feel creative. Is that something why you like doing this? It just makes you feel, because it's kind of lonely if you do it all yourself, but it sounds like you have a team and a whole sort of bouncing back and forth in that whole
for process. Example, when we prepare the Got Talent or whatever it is shows, I always try to also have different team with me. For example, I work with John Morton, Paul McGuire, Alan Wong, all people that they can also build stuff. Because, for example, I'm not very good in putting things together, build things. I'm terrible. I can give the idea, and then with other people say, okay, they are more good. They're very good in the technical side, so they know how to solve the problem technically. So you need people around you, especially if you work for important project, or it can be a TV things or theater shows. Of course, everything has a cost. One thing is to have a normal consulting, and one thing is to involve all the team. But when you have a team behind, but if you see people like David Blaine or Dan White, when they do their single TV appearance, they have another 7-8 magicians with them.
Yeah.
But this is very important because this is people that understand it's not all about me, but to be David Blaine, I need other people around me.
Yeah, it's like, comedy shows like SNL, like, like you have your writers doing all the comedy and you have like, yeah, it's like a lot
Yeah,
of people behind the scenes to make this
yeah,
all work, but it sounds like it's
exactly.
also fun to work with them.
And this is important also to have. You need to be open minded because it's very rare to find magicians that they forget about their ego and they understand that to be a good one, you need to have a help of other people too. Myself, when I did my own theater show, which was called Secrets, I asked Luke Germain to write the question answer part in my show
Mhm.
because I needed an external help to talk with. And I said, okay, it's nothing, no one better than Luke that can do this work for me. And it wasn't cheap. I invested quite a lot of money, but it was for my theater. It was an investment. Everything you need to decide. For example, I invest a lot in advertising and publicity, magazine, all these kind of things. But this is very important because to be known, to become someone, to you need to have a team of people that work with you, and you need to spend money to do it.
Mhm.
And I understand there is people that maybe don't have yet the possibility, but I say, okay, if you don't have the possibility, start to work start to invest time. Invest time because time is free. Start to invest time in making yourself better and different from someone else. Then you start to work with the little money you have. Then you start to invest in building your persona, your brand, or whatever.
It just made me think of a couple of different things, which was somebody said earlier about everyone wants instantaneous gratification and just downloading the latest thing and wants to be success. And I think I was working with a musician who loves Charlie XCX, who said it takes 10 years to become an overnight sensation. In other words, you got to work on it.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
need to work on it. It's
Mhm.
not something that happened. I started when I was 12. I'm
Mhm.
51. And I still learn. I'm still studying. Every afternoon I try to have at least an hour, 2 hours for reading, practicing. There's nothing better than practice. If
Mhm.
I have a trick, for example, I'm rehearsing now some new routines from my new show, and I do this every single day. And one day the script, one day the moves, one day the staging, everything. Because at the end, when I perform, I don't want to think. I need to go on stage and engage the people.
Mhm.
Think to entertain, and that's it. I need to forget because if you go on stage and you don't find your marker, you forget the method, or you have a problem. There
Yeah.
is a lot of people. You see them and say, "Okay, now let me write." That's wrong. You need to rehearse even the place where you put the marker in your pocket.
Yeah. And I think it's even more complicated because it's like doing ballet, but you also, the major part you're saying is I also have to be adaptive and reactive to the audience because it's interactive. It's interactive. It's not like I'm doing a movie or something where the audience doesn't actually influence the situation.
See, my studies is like musicians, so I have this kind of brain that works in this way. First, you learn the first notes, the right hand, then the left hand, then you put them together. You make a lot of mistakes. You learn the music. Once you learn the music, then you put the emotion in it. Once you put the emotion in it, then you're not thinking anymore the notes. You just think the emotions. And that's what the people will feel when you play. But if you play when you're not sure about what you're playing, the people will hear notes and that's it. It's the same thing with magic.
So another thing I'll just link in is your whole experience of music, which you decided to go into this field versus that field, never actually vanished. It became
No,
part of your tapestry and is
yeah,
actually informing how you think.
yeah. And it's very important. I think we
Mhm.
really, but again, sometimes when I talk about these things, I get sad because, say, oh man, really, today, there's some young magician that they have a great possibilities. You know, they're very good, but they just go on YouTube and they do these quick social media things, and that's it. But yeah, but
I like to think those who will follow in the usual thing of success will follow the tried and true things, which is, sorry, there is no like quick fixes to these
yeah,
things.
exactly.
Maybe it's like lottery winning, maybe if something happens, but it must be something else than just doing the
Yeah, you know, you can become a social media sensation because your video goes viral.
right.
That's great. But then I always say, good. Now go on stage in front of 2,000 people. Let me
Right.
see it.
Or where are you in 10 years from now?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
welcome
I
to
know
15 minutes of
people,
fame, as they say.
I know magicians that very well known on social media. They are like a superstar on social media.
Mhm.
And I saw them on stage. Man, they cannot be on stage. They don't have they have no clue how to engage people and to control the audience. They have no audience management because the only management they had was their phone on top of on a tripod. That's the only management they had.
Right.
So
And you were talking about AI and technology earlier, which, there's tons of now things using cell phones all the time. I never do any of that. Because as soon as I see technology, I just assume it's technology. You can't say, that it's the old legend about the guy who got killed for, I think is in ancient China. Why do magicians roll up their sleeves? It's because a magician was told by the emperor, if I can figure out your trick, I'll kill you. So the guy does all
yeah,
these tricks and they're wonderful. He said, it was your sleeves. You did it up your sleeve. No, I didn't. And he didn't. But he cut his head off because he felt that was the answer.
yeah,
Same thing. As soon as I see a cell phone or anything, like, I don't know what it is, but it's
it's
technology.
technology. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And I agree with you. You know, I normally get a lot of stuff for reviews because I do this review show in the private group on Facebook. And don't get me wrong, there are great things. You know,
Mm.
there is a lot of creative people that invest a lot of money in doing these things. But I always say, for example, I use no electronics in my shows when I do my live shows. And why? Because I think the smart thing to do today is to go back in time. Because the people is smart. Now, of course, this is a public video, I can talk about specific things, but
Yeah,
people is smart.
yeah.
People is smart. They know that, technology can help. But if you use zero technology when you do your shows, that's a lot better and it makes a big difference.
And I have nothing wrong. Like, I love technology. I used to work with Christopher Taylor and helping him build various props and things too. But the whole point is you can't see the technology. It has to be totally invisible and not even in anyone's mind that it even exists in the picture, so that it doesn't even come into their head to explain anything.
Yes, exactly. So,
Yeah.
there are different point of view on this, but again, as I say, despite all these things, electronics or not electronics, at the end, the really thing that is important is the magician, the person. That's what makes the show.
And the connection, which I guess we can lead into then the whole
Yeah.
concept of the mindfulness and mentalism kind of aspects that you were talking about, and how
Yes.
you're saying, like, mindfulness is quite helpful for mental well-being and so on.
Yes. I have I have a personal rituals that I do for my mental health, which I think they're very important. That help me a lot as a persona and also as an artist. If you want, I can share with you my 10 steps if you want.
I would love that. Would be wonderful.
Okay, so the first thing I do, I know that you say, okay, the people watching this video, again, you don't need to be a performer to do these steps. Okay, if you do this will help you in anything you do in life. But I find out they're very, very important for me and also to other people I suggested this. So there are 10 important steps. The first one is the exercise. You need to engage in constant physical activity. And what I do every morning is yoga. Yoga is something that helped me a lot for two reasons. First of all, because it helped my elasticity in my body. Also help me to focus, because when you keep the pose in focus in yoga, you are concentrated, okay? You are focusing what you do. And as I said, in today's society that everything is fast, yoga slow you down. Mm-hmm. And I do power yoga, so it's quite strong activity that you do with your body. This helped me very, very much, okay? It is really, really important. So exercise every morning can be walking. For example, I do yoga from Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I do long walk, like 12, 14 kilometers walking. Mm. Okay, this is in nature. This is very important. And then we'll talk about this. This is very important point too. So when you start your day with a physical activity, everything moves faster in your brain, in your body, so you are quicker in taking decision, and also helps your creativity. Step number 2, practicing mindfulness. And mindfulness, we talk about what you said before. I use meditation after I've done my yoga, and I focus on the present to reduce stress. So what I basically do, once I finish my yoga, sit down, some music, if I can, because I have a garden here, so I look at the nature, whatever it is, trees, or whatever it is in front of me. And when I'm in Italy, thank God I have a sea in front of me, so I can see the sea, which is beautiful. And again, if you live in an apartment where you have another apartment in front, don't worry, just close your eyes and visualize yourself in a beautiful place, wherever you like to be. Breathe, relax, and don't think anything. I remember Joe Dispenza said once, when you want to clear your mind and you want to feel better, just don't think for 15 minutes. And the fact that you don't think, after 15 minutes, you will have ideas, new ideas that pops in your mind. Calm your mind for 15 minutes, and then your mind will be open to receive new ideas. So meditation is very important to practice mindfulness. This is really important. After your exercise, do some meditation. Third point, which people say, oh, I'm a workaholic. I work until 3 in the morning and I wake up at 5 and I keep working. Fine, this will be okay 1 week, but after that, you're done. So you need to prioritize sleep. If you sleep at least from 7 to 9 hours, quality sleep is very important because it will make you feel better. When I go to do a show, of course, sometimes I, have a terrible travel, because flights arrive late, something happen, it's hot, it's cold, whatever, okay? But I always try to sleep. When I know it's a big show, I tell the clients, look, I fly the day before. I go there the day before. I don't do any crazy thing. Go in my hotel, take a shower, have a nice, clean, easy meal, go to sleep, 9 hours. The day after, I'm super strong, full of energy, and I can do my show. Because this is very important. When you sleep well, when you are more relaxed, you can give the audience 100%. Also, if you don't sleep, you get sick. And if you need to perform, it's not great to perform when you're sick. And I've done, as a performer, I even performed when I had a 40 of fever, but that's normal. Show must go on. You need to do it. But take care of your body. Take care of your health. This is very important because today we think about money, we think about success, but I always say the real wealth is health. If you're healthy, you're wealthy. That's it. There is no other thing than health. If you're healthy, you're wealthy. So that's what I really think. I understand people say, yeah, but if you're healthy without money, but I always say if you're healthy, you have the health that allow you to be creative, to find a job, to work, to make money. So this is point number.
I'm just going to jump in saying again, because from my perspective, I'm always biopsychosocial, cultural, spiritual kind of approach, which means there's no mind body dichotomy. It's like your mind is in your brain. And so everything you're saying is like, you got to look after all aspects of health. Otherwise,
medicines are here. Medicine are in your brain. You know, my mom, suddenly she suffered from many years. She had various problems with the eyes and stuff. And she suffered from many years of anxiety. And, you know, she had to take some medication for this, but also because she lost one eye, she's losing another eye. So, I mean, it's very difficult for her and to cope with all this. Of course, she have the support of, you know, my family and stuff. So, you know, we try to help her as much as we can. But seeing that, I understand people need to have a specific medication to solve some problems, but if you can take these things as soon as got you, and instead of rely on medication, try to find the medication in your brain. I know it's not easy. You need to have help to do that. But if you find the medication inside of you, you will find the solution. I know it's not an easy thing. For example, you know, I try to avoid, I had some heart palpitation problems in the last few months because the stress of some things that happened to my family, and I had to cope with everything basically, plus my job. And despite, you know, doing a yoga meditation, you know, it eventually got me. So I had to rely on some natural stuff because I mainly try to use natural remedies, you know, like valeriana and all this herbs stuff. But I even improved, you know, my meditation quality, my sleep quality, and everything else, because I say, wait a second, I need to find the solution in myself. So everything, like you said, connection, mind and body is really important. You need to be in control of your mind. It's not an easy thing to do, but you need to believe, because if you believe that you can do it, you will find the solution in yourself. You will create all the chemical things you need in your brain that will help your body. You know.
And again, I always say this as a psychiatrist to say, although we always get this reputation, throw meds at everything. But I think that's back to that thing you're talking about, like instant solutions. My thing too is like what you say is before we do the meds, because you might need meds, but before you do the meds, have you tried psychotherapy? Have you been doing physical fitness? Do you have sleep apnea? Like, let's reel out all the medical issues and try to get you as healthy.
Yeah.
Eat healthy. You need omega-3s and vitamin D. And after you've tried everything else and you're still suffering, let's try some meds at that point, right? You know,
of course,
I don't want you to suffer, but you've tried
when you have this background of all things that you've done, instead of taking 10 meds, you will take 5. For example,
exactly, or a lower dose, or
a lower dose.
You can drop them again. Yeah,
exactly. So, but you know, this is why I think everything together helps. Everything together. So it's really important, as I said, connection, mind, body, really, really important. Now, of course, if you need meds, you need to take them. You take them, but when you know that you are good with yourself, then even the meds will work better because your body will react better. You know what I mean?
And you're also accepting reality and just engaging with whatever you need to do to be healthy.
Exactly. Then point that one, sorry.
Yeah, we're at 4. I think we're at
point number 4.
Yeah.
It's very important to have social connection because I know as a performer or as a you know, someone that works with a lot of people, sometimes you say, oh, you know, I want to be by myself, or, you know, or people maybe that they have some anxiety or, you know, stressed problem and stuff. They try to close themselves in their own world. Well, the fact that when you connect socially, you know, when you have friends or groups of people that you can talk, you can share your problems, you can talk with, this is really, really important. Because when you share your problems with other people, or you share your ideas, whatever it is, it kind of releases everything from your body. So having friends around you or people you can connect and share your ideas or your problems is really, really important. So social connection is important. Then you need to weigh, this is a very important thing I tell you on my own experience, you need to know how to cope with stress. Because stress is a cycle, right? So once you get stressed for one thing, then everything falls apart. This happens all the time. And I can tell you, because, my stress eventually, drive me to have some palpitation problem. It was only stress related. I did all the check, all the X-ray, all the proper professional check. My heart is great. And despite it was great, I was having problem. I mean, my mind was creating problem to my heart, which is unbelievable if you think about it.
But I guess back to the mind body is connected. Yeah.
Exactly. So I started to manage stress a little bit better. So journaling, why I'm stressed, why I'm doing this. And when you see a problem, stop. Look at the problem, analyze the problem from outside, writing down the various ways you can solve the problem, and breathe. That's very important. Stop, breathe, relax, look at the problem from outside, write down the way you can solve the problems. Okay? That's, I think, very, very important. In anything, in any situation, health, work, everything. You have a problem? Okay, sit down, think about it. Okay, I have this problem, what I have to do. Don't go in the cycle of stress.
I'll just throw in something too, which is interesting then, because again, they always say mind over body or mind over matter. Yeah. That's okay, but what you're describing too, which people forget, is body can help with the mind, which is breathing and getting back to that. It's like, actually, it's not my mind I need to put into, I just have to get my body into calming my mind.
Yeah, and the breathing exercise is really, really powerful. When you feel this panic attack or anxiety situations, stop, breathe very deeply, hold something. For example, I love crystals. I also study crystal therapy and stuff like this for my own passion, because I like in nature crystals because they're beautiful and I wanted to learn more about it. But I always have a crystal, you see, with me on the desk. Sometimes it's just touching it, or even when I think, it's just like how you talk thing when you touch things, like a stress release.
Yeah, people have fidget toys and all this sort of stuff. And it's part of our thing too, when I deal with PTSD patients of all sorts, and we teach them about tactile techniques for grounding themselves.
Yeah, and sometimes these things helps. For example, even when I need to think something, I just hold this in my hand, I think about it, I say, okay, it's kind of release the stress of thinking and everything else. So cope with your stress in the right way. Number 6, you need to limit all the negative input that come from people and from exposure to overwhelming news that comes from different ways. So I honestly don't look at the news on TV. I just want to know the main things happening in the world. That's it. Because if you start to look all the negative things happening around you, if you go on social media and you look at your pictures or your videos with people, that they don't do anything in life, and they comment, they offend you underneath that, and you start to get all these negative things, you're done. So you want to see these things, try to find the power in yourself to look at these things with a different perspective. When you see people talk about negative about you, just think about it. Why they say anything negative about me? I honestly do my job. I do whatever I need to do. If they say something negative, 2 other things: or they're jealous, or because they don't do anything in life. That's it. I don't care.
It's a performer or artist who the whole concept is showing stuff. You got to build. Sure. Yeah.
You are. The Magic Cafe.
Yeah.
Let's take the example of the Magic Cafe. They kills you every time you post something. This release is terrible. I don't like this. I don't like that. And
armchair.
Sometimes, and if you read my reply, you need to have a look. There is a review of my book Monochrome
Mhm.
on from Erudite Magic on YouTube, and there are some comments, so hungry comments, which it really make me smile. And if you read my comments, my answer underneath there, they're very quiet and try to make these people understand, hey man, I haven't done anything to you. Why you hate me so much? And that's
It's
the
like that
thing.
Ricky Gervais joke. You know the Ricky Gervais joke about what the internet is? He says it's like posting up a sign in a community billboard area, like free singing lessons with your number on it. Someone rips it up, goes home, phones you and says, I don't want your lessons.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. What I've done to you? Tell
It's
me
like,
what I've done.
why are you wasting? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So limit your negative input. So for example, I eliminated from my life all the negative people. All the people, even people close to me, even ex-friends, they are all complaining all the time. They bring negative energy. Take them away. I mean, far, because
Mhm.
you don't want to, we already have our own problems in life. Why I need to listen to why you need to complain every 5 minutes of everything? So eliminate all the negative people. Just surround your people that give you positive energy and that motivates you. This is very important. Then point number 7, we're almost there. Okay, you need to use positive self-talk. This is what I was telling you before
Mhm.
about finding your persona. The fact that you write down everything about you, or sometimes happen that you have a negative thought about you, try to challenge this thought, replacing them with kind thought, realistic one, something that, this is why I say write everything about you, see yourself from outside, and see what you can change, what you can improve about yourself, analyze yourself, journaling everything. So I think this is really, really important. So talk with yourself, see yourself from outside. Number 8, you need to, this is a kind of thing that they, motivational speakers saying stuff, but I find out that it's very important. Instead of setting incredible goal in your life, set small goal every single day and celebrate every single accomplishment. I find out this, I do every day. For example, when I start my day, I have my little agenda here, okay, where I write everything I need to do in the day. So sending 10 emails to this agency, or, prepare the new brochure, do the graphic of this, record the new release, all these kind of things. And everything in the list is an accomplishment for me. So I say, yeah, I've done this 10 email. By that time, yeah, I've recorded the video. Great. Let me send it to Murphy or whatever, it's all these little things. They are little goal that gives you that kind of good feeling. It's true. Even if you go to, I don't know, 2 p.m., go to do a grocery thing, whatever it is. That is another accomplishment. It's not a day by day thing, but I see that like a small goal in my day. Because sometimes, you get overwhelmed by all the things you need to do. And at the end of the day, I didn't have the time to do this, or I didn't have the time to be with my wife 1 hour watching, taking a tea. And you need to be able to find the time to be in schedule and to try to reach that little goal, because that gives you.
Yeah, the last 2 points to me is all about cognitive behavioral things, but also what you're describing to me is like you feel more masterful in your life if you accomplish things, but you
Yeah,
feel not masterful and out of control when you want to take on some gigantic thing that you can't even tackle. Then you feel
yeah,
bad.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel bad. So when you have this small accomplishment during the day, kind of train your brain to get goals in your life, to reach goals. Then we have the last 2 points, which I have already touched before. You need to spend time in nature. And I tell you, because I'm Italian, I have in Naples, I live in a fishing town, which is Pozzuoli. And then I have another little house in a beautiful place in the mountain. And then we have a house here in England. And thankfully, we always find places which are close to nature, which for me is really, really important. Because nature stimulates your creativity, relax your brain. It does many, many things. We always, at least once a week, me and my wife, we have a walk in the woods. We spend time in the woods, walking, maybe drinking. We take maybe a cup of hot drink with us. We sit on the bench. We drink something. We talk. We walk around. This is very important. There is sometimes you want to do by yourself, which is really great. You just walk, breathe, don't think, just breathe in the nature. Nature is an incredible medicine from your brain. It's incredible. When you are in the nature, you can walk a little bit in the nature. This helps a lot. Even if you are in a busy, city, try to find a place, even a park with few trees and some plants or whatever it is. Walk there, stay there, sit. Don't think anything. Forget the work. Forget the problem. Just half an hour. Take it for yourself in the nature. This is very helpful. And the last point, which goes back to all the things we say today, you need to find a creative hobby, because creativity is the distraction from anxiety. That is the key of everything I said until now. Because when you find an hobby that keeps you creative, then maybe it's an hobby that you can do with other people. There can be anything, a collector of things, you can build stuff, you can do magic tricks, which is great because magic helps you so much in being creative and distract you so much. Because you need to learn a trick, you have to do the trick, you need to present it, you need to find the presentation, you need to present in front of the people. So look, magic, how many things help you to do it. It distracts you from the anxiety. It gives emotional expression, build confidence. It gives engagement with other people. Magic is the key for me that can help you to really, distract yourself from, stress, problems that you can have. That moment for you with your hobby, I think it's really, really important to detach yourself from negativity and negative thoughts.
Well, two things pop in my mind for that last point is not only is it maybe distracting from anxiety, it might even be more, it's giving you maybe a meaning, deeper meaning, and like a connection with something. Also, again, creating makes you have mastery. It's like, I'm actually in control. I'm doing something. Versus when you're totally out of control, unless you learn radical acceptance and things like that, which is fine. Yeah. But the whole point of like saying, yeah, the universe is chaotic and all, but what can I do?
Yeah.
My moment. So I can feel, oh, I can do stuff, which is creative. So totally cool. One other thing, this may be point 11 or a side point, a dog. But I'm biased. I don't know if you have pets, but
no,
see, when you have a pet, you have to get up in the morning. You have to go walk. You go into nature. It tells you, it's like, it's so basic. Are you looking after eating? Are you like it? And it's your companion and your buddy. Yes. Anyways, I'm just biased there, but
no, it's true. It's true. My wife loves dog. We don't have it because, we don't even have children because we're very busy, both of us. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm flying all the time. She's personal trainer, so she works all the time and stuff. That was our decision for, various ways, but but eventually we'll get a dog when is the time.
Oh yeah, he can be point like A, or he's a footnote.
I like dogs, not cats. I like dogs.
There you go. I like all animals, but that's why I call it Hounds and Jackals. I'm a very dog person, kind of.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I don't hate cats, but yes, if I have to choose, I will take a dog.
Yes. Now we've actually gone over our usual hour, which is cool because we're having great discussion. But I'm already like so happy you gave it me this time, and I know your time is precious. But is there anything, as we've been talking long before we wrap up, like thoughts that popped up with our discussion, or anything you wanted also to add before we?
Well, I will be happy if you ask me something if you want, because My point today was to make the people understand, hopefully they're watching this, that, we can be in control of everything happening in our life. We can be happy if we want to be happy. It's all about a matter of decision. If we like the decision I took when I decided I wanted to be a magician, it wasn't easy. But when you really focus, when you really want something in life, I always say there is nothing that can stop me. So there is nothing that stops you. If you have an idea, if you have a goal that you want to reach, just believe in that goal. Don't let other people, distract you from that goal. Just believe in yourself and do anything you can to achieve that.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's taking that risk to do it, which you did.
And the risk, risk is really important. Without risk, there is no fun. I understand risk is a risk, but if you don't risk it, you don't know. If I didn't choose that thing, now we weren't talking today.
Well, exactly.
And if you think
Twilight
about
Zone episode where this guy he dies, and now he's in this world where everything he wins everything, he gets every woman he wants, he does everything is perfect, and he's miserable. He says, "Can I get out of heaven? I want to go to hell." No, this is hell.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Even if I don't took that decision, I wasn't now here talking with you. And I even met my wife, because I met my wife on a cruise ship when I was doing a show there. So look how
fellow creatives, right? Another creative, and you said she's like the musical one,
Nothing happened. Everything happened for a reason. So if you know that you need to risk, do it, because it means that is your path.
All right. Well, Luca, thank you so much for talking with me today, and
my pleasure.
We'll have you back again, because I think there's so much more we can get into.
Thank you. It will be a pleasure.
So thanks again, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.